Our lesson for today comes from 1 Samuel chapter 1. Please be seated. There was a certain man of Ramathon, a Zoophite from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. He had two wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Now this man used to go up year by year from his town to worship and to sacrifice to the Lord of hosts at Shiloh, where the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were priests of the Lord. On the day when Elkanah sacrificed, he would give portions to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her, for the Lord God had closed her womb. Her rival used to provoke her severely, to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it went on year by year. As often as she went up to the house of the Lord, she used to provoke her. Therefore Hannah wept and would not eat. Her husband Elkanah said to her, "Hannah, why do you weep? I do not eat. Why is your heart sad? Am I not more to you than 10 sons?" After they had eaten and drunk at Shiloh, Hannah rose and presented herself before the Lord. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat beside the doorpost of the temple of the Lord. She was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. She made this vow: "O Lord of hosts, if you only will look on the misery of your servant and remember me and not forget your servant, but will give to your servant a male child, then I will set him before you as a Nazarite until the day of his death. He shall drink neither wine nor intoxicants, and no razor shall touch his head." As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying silently, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. So Eli, the high priest, said to her, "How long will you make a drunken spectacle of yourself? Put away your wine." But Hannah answered, "No, my lord, I am a woman deeply troubled. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink. I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your servant as a worthless woman, for I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation at this time." Then Eli answered, "Go in peace. God of Israel grant the petition you have made to him." And she said, "Let your servant find favor in your sight." And then the woman went to her quarters, and ate and drank with her husband, and her countenance was sad no longer. They rose early the next morning and worshipped before the Lord. Then they went back to their house at Ramah. Elkanah knew his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. In due time Hannah conceived and bore a son. She named him Samuel, for he said, "I have asked him of the Lord." The man Elkanah and his household went up to offer to the Lord the yearly sacrifice and to pay his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, "As soon as the child is weaned, I will bring him, that he may appear in the presence of the Lord and remain there forever. I will offer him as a Nazarite for all time." Her husband Elkanah said to her, "Do what seems best to you. Wait until you have weaned him, only may the Lord establish his word." So the woman remained and nursed her son until she weaned him. When she had weaned him, she took him up with her, along with her three-year-old colt, on an ephah of flour and a skin of wine. She brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh, and the child was young. Then they slaughtered the bull, and they brought the child to Eli. And she said, "Oh, my Lord, as you live, my Lord, I am the woman who is standing here in your presence praying to the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me the petition that I made him. Therefore I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is given to the Lord." She left him there for the Lord. Word of God, word of life. Today, we continue our summer worship series as we examine the faith of many women throughout the story of the Bible. We have looked at the story of Mary, the mother of Jesus, the story of Sarah, the story of Ruth, and last week the story of a very courageous Samaritan woman. Each time seeing how their great faith not only change their lives, but change the world around them. This week we look at the story of Hannah. Now Hannah's story takes place in the time of Judges. And just as a little bit of background to remind you, during this time, this was before there were any kings of Israel. God was considered the king of Israel. And what would eventually happen is that the people would be worshiping God and everything would be going well. And then in their blessings, they would forget about God and turn away from God. They would rebel and worship other gods, and horrible things would result from their sins. They would then find themselves in a bit of really deep trouble, and so they would call out to God to help them. And God would respond. He would raise up a judge, a leader, who would lead them back into worship of God, who would rescue them, would be God's instrument and voice among the people. And for about 400 some years, a cycle would happen. People would be doing well, they'd forget about God, things would go bad, they'd cry out for help, God would raise up a judge, they'd come back and worship God, everything would be good, and in the goodness, they'd forget about God, things would go bad again, and the cycle would repeat itself over and over and over again. This is the time that Hannah is living in. Hannah herself is married. Her husband has another wife, and that wife has given him many sons, and Hannah has not. Now Hannah is living with trauma. She has been ridiculed constantly for her wife-in-law, if that's how you would refer to her. And she's also been put down and ridiculed by society around her. And the message that is overbearing, that is constantly repeated to her, is that she is a person who has no value because she has not given children. Now we might respond and be aghast at this kind of message, but this was her time, this is the place where she lived, and this is what she was taught. And the message was so profound, so embedded in everything that people communicated, in the ways that society treated her, in multitude of ways, that it had brought a severe trauma into her life. It was hard for her to even live under these circumstances. She suffered from anxiety and depression as a result of this. It was hard for her. It was hard for her even to receive love from her husband. She didn't know why. She didn't have all the medical background to understand anxiety and depression. She just knew that she was not. She had been taught that she was a person of no value, of no meaning. And she was desperate. She was in despair. Her husband tried to help her, but as most husbands have done throughout all eternity, really botched it up. He basically says to her in her despair and her anxiety, "Don't feel that way." And mom and dad are like looking down at their feet. No, I've never done that, right? Yeah, right, we've never done that. Just aren't I enough for you? Isn't my presence enough in your life to bring joy so you should never feel down? Which is really an insulting and horrible thing to say. But men throughout eternity have said something similar to this. Elkanah is no different. He just says to her, "Don't feel this way." Of course, she can't help but to feel that way. Eli, the high priest, who would basically be the pastor for her for that day and that time, basically looks at her and he quickly pronounces judgment on her and thinks that she's just a drunk woman and if she just didn't drink so much, she wouldn't be acting that way. Often, we are like Elkanah, and we are like Eli, the high priest. We take other people's trauma, other people's suffering, and we either condemn it, we discount it, or we trivialize it, simply because it makes us feel uncomfortable. Just because we can't relate to it, because it seems something, we wouldn't feel that way, so therefore they shouldn't feel that way, right? We continue to make other people feel like they are, meaningless, that their suffering is all their own fault. They shouldn't feel that way. Whether it is the plight of the homeless, the plight of people who are being treated unjustly, by the plight of women who are often paid less than men for an equal amount of work. Whether it's the plight of your neighbor who's unemployed and you think is just not willing to work hard. Whether it's your relative who's going through a deep, difficult suffering that you feel they've brought upon themselves. The circumstances are very wide and very different. But the reality is that because other people's suffering makes us feel uncomfortable, we trivialize it, we discount it, we make it seem as if it's all their own fault. We act like Elkanah. We act like Eli, the high priest. There's one person in this story that sees the trauma that Hannah is going through. It doesn't judge her. It doesn't dismiss her. It doesn't say to her it's all her own fault. And that's God. God looks down and God sees what Hannah is going through. And God acknowledges what Hannah is going through. The ways that society is treating her in very unjust and horrible ways, and the consequences and the damage that it's having in Hannah's life. Often we are confronted with suffering, and we all know that we can't end all suffering in this world. Many times there's very little concrete action we can do to end someone else's sufferings, but what we can do is not cause further damage. We can not trivialize it. We can acknowledge the trauma that other people are experiencing, even though it's a very different experience than what we are having. We can acknowledge it, and we can give voice to it. We can say to people, it's not your fault. You are a person that has value. You are a person that is meaningful. You are a person that is important to me. That's what God says to her in this story. Amongst all things, don't lose that message, because that's a powerful way and a powerful lesson that we can learn, that we can respond, and that we can adopt into our own lives when we encounter people just like Hannah. Hannah is in a desperate place, and she pleads out to God, and she makes this agreement with God. God, if you'll just give me a male son, I will give him to you forever. There is this religious order called Nazarites, and you're familiar with them. If you've heard the story of Samson, or you know of John the Baptist, those are two famous Nazarites. Nazarite is a person who has been given to God for a time to this religious order for some special service to God. While they are in service as part of this religious order, they're not allowed to cut their hair. They have to eat a very strict diet of locusts and honey and things like that. They have to wear really kind of uncomfortable clothes and do strange things. But it's part of serving God in a special, unique way that helped people in that time to get a message, receive a message for God. And so what Hannah does is she gives this, she makes, and you can read in Numbers chapter 6, a whole explanation of this religious order. But what Hannah does is she makes this agreement with God. If you give me this, help me to be a mother, the one thing that I want, I will give this child back to you, and he will serve you for his entire life as a Nazarene. And God sees her, and God says, okay, I'm going to move in your life. I'm going to do something special. Watch what I can do. And God grants her a son. And amazingly enough, counter to what many of you and I would have done, because let's face it, how often have we made a deal with God, and then once God gives us what we so desperately desire, gone back on our promise with God? She doesn't. She desperately desired a child, and then she gives her child up. She doesn't get to live her whole life with this child. She gives this child to God so that this child can grow up and do incredible things. And the story of Samuel is a great story. Samuel does many, many incredible things for God and for God's people. But we don't get the story of Samuel if we first don't have the story of Hannah. And this is a powerful story because we need Samuels in this world. But without Hannah, we don't get Samuel. And in Hannah, what we have is a story of a woman who has a tremendous weakness. Now, I don't want to at all say that people who can't have children are weak. Weaknesses are culturally defined. They're often very flippant and they're very ludicrous, what we describe as a strength or a weakness. Our culture teaches us what is a strength or a weakness, and we simply accept it. And in that time, the culture taught Hannah that it was her fault, her weakness, that she can have kids, and Hannah believed it. Now, I said it's not true, but what's important is that Hannah believed this was her weakness. And in her weakness, she turns to God and says, God, give me strength, give me meaning, give me purpose. And what is amazing is that Hannah is going to do that and to accept God's movement in her life, God's answer on God's own terms. Which meant that she would have a child, but she wouldn't be able to keep it. And I'm not sure what's better, to never have a child, or to have a child and have to give that child up. Both, for her, must have been excruciating. You see, God's answer doesn't take away the suffering and the trauma that she's going through. It actually remains. But God's answer says, watch me move. watch me do incredible things in what you think is a weakness, what I consider a strength. The Apostle Paul had to learn the same lesson. People throughout all of eternity who have followed God have had to learn the same lesson. That when we go to God with what we think of as our weakness, often God says, you need that weakness because in your weakness, I am made strong. In the world, my power is unleashed into this world through what you have defined as a weakness, but what I define as a strength. God says to us, this is God's eternal answer. My grace is sufficient for you. In your weakness, the world is blessed. Hannah, in her desperation, in her anxiety, prays to God. Do something. Give me meaning, give me purpose. Even if it's purpose and meaning on your terms, God. It's a powerful truth. It's a powerful lesson that Hannah shows to us. And because she's willing to do that, we get Samuel, a great, incredible leader who did incredible things. But without Hannah, we don't have Samuel. What would it look like for you to embrace God's movement in your life on God's terms? We may not receive the desire that we've been begging God for, or if we do, it is for the benefit of someone else. We may have to remain in our weakness. And in our life may not look like what we expect. But to embrace God's movement in our life on God's terms is to embrace the answers so that we can proclaim God's grace is sufficient for me and for all the world. Because as hard as that is, often it's what the world needs to hear so that they can place their trust in God. Amen? Amen. Our takeaways for today. First one, and they're all pretty simple, but they're important for us to embrace in our lives. Hannah lives in trauma. God sees this. We need to see and acknowledge the suffering and the people around us. Not discount it or trivialize it, because when we do, trivialize it, because when we do, we cause great damage to other people. The second one, in her weakness, Hannah looks to God for strength, self-worth, and purpose in life. And the last one, in God's response, Hannah accepts God's movement in her life on God's terms, not her own. 3 important lessons of faith that we learn from Hannah that can shape and touch our lives so that the world can learn to trust God. Let's stand and for our hymn of the day.